Psyop's case clearly showed us that there is major corruption in Arkansas. But could it also be in Indiana? More specifically, in Delphi.
And they were shipping it through UPS in candle wax. It all over Delphi, Kokomo, down to Rushville. See, like, people have always thought I was crazy with this theory. Tina and I know what Christy was up to and what the involvements were. And even for Derek not to come out and share some of this for 7 years.
Pathologist Dr. Baden came out of the autopsy and said, "This doesn't look like a self-unaliving. It looks more like a perpetrated red rum." Okay? Also in this report, they tested them for all kind of, not just illegal ones, but even sleep medicines and things like that. All 4 girls were negative. So as far as whether they didn't smell the fire because of some other source, the answer is no. You see how the manipulation goes?
Listen, they had Megan Allen's earrings, or they didn't test those. They didn't test all of the body parts of the girls.
And law enforcement is putting us in this position. So if you don't like it, law enforcement, think about who got us to this situation.
Not going to close his case. He said the house looked like there had been a party, and he said, Michelle, that's an evil, he told our family, that's an evil house. That just, there's evil in that house. That's what the coroner told us. So
Wow. Yeah. So, don't be telling people where you are and what you're doing. Don't be telling law enforcement stuff, because it's going to come back to bite you.
No, just skull x-rays, but I can't have an MRI. I don't know what I'm going to do, actually. And, I know Milgram definitely was with me because I saw him off and on through all my life, up until I was about 18 years old. But then I think Delgado only came for the surgery.
Not 5 minutes later, Jerry Holman called me, a recovery streamer.
I cannot declare that Richard Allen is totally innocent.
I really had a... So how, you finished your book?
I did. I'll just know, if you ever get a call from jail, you already know what my charge is. Somewhere, somehow, I have been. For some reason.
There's just so many people that, I want to believe them because they're on the rational side of the argument, and then they'll say something that just...
Sorry, I got distracted. I am getting a phone call. Let me answer this real quick. Hello. I can't talk to you, son. I am live. Okay. I hope you can hear that. All right. Whoa. I missed my cue. Hello, my silky friends. How are you doing? Whoa. It's been quiet all day. Of course, it all happens now. I have been deep in the trenches looking for stuff. Man, what a week it's been, right? It's been a horrific week. I hate it. But, yeah. And I thought I knew what was going on. And then I fell down a rabbit hole, and I actually was going to share something. I'm going to share a lot, but I had something else on the agenda I was going to share about psyops. And then I realized I think it's just too much. So if you are a member, and I'm sorry, this is not to get members. Okay. So don't think that's what this is about. I'm just going to let you know, if you are a member, I will. And I'm not even sure when I'm doing my next members live, probably not this Sunday, but next Sunday. We'll probably talk about it, because it's pretty ugly. And I think this is too much for a regular live stream. Yeah. Okay, so let me say hello. Hello, Brittany. Whatever it is, the odds are more in favor of probably as a psyop. Yes, people think we are paranoid. Whatever. Crazy maybe, but not paranoid. We are just aware. Absolutely. I am 100% in agreement. So is Sachi, who wants to show you her rear end always. Hi, Deb. How you doing? Four Pets, how are you doing? Um, the plot's thicken. Yes, they do. They do. I got a nice little spicy note on one of my, I don't know. I think I posted stuff on my community page that I meant to put on my other page, but whatever. So I got some spicy comments. I honestly am not sure that I'm going to just keep being nice. I don't know. Why? Teresa, I'm not sure. Um, Look, I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff. We talking about Charlie? Yes, we are talking about Charlie somewhat. Somewhat. That is what sparked. Okay, we're going to start with Charlie. But what it sparked is a lot of questions for me because like everybody else, I was you're just going to you are just going to take over, aren't you, my sweet little co-host? But the only problem is you really make my you make my screen go dark, and you put your hair in my nose, and let me try to, and you make it, yeah, you make it unfocus. Let me see if I can make this any brighter. Hold on just a second. She makes it darker in here. Um, I call her the void because that's what she is. But yeah, talking about Charlie, that's where I started. And of course, like the rest of you, I, was horrified. I was at work, absolutely horrified at what was happening, what I was seeing, and the news. And horrified at some of the reactions on both sides. Let me just say that. I was horrified at reactions on both sides. And I was horrified because of so many things. The division, all right? Yes, 100% heartbreaking. And as y'all know, I consider myself conservative for the most part, but not like the kind of conservative that wants to be ugly to people, Not I mean, I have um more conservative values than liberal ones. But I am not a hater of any kind of people, no matter what your belief is. Okay, I'm just not a hater. And for anybody, religious or otherwise, who is, I'm I'm not on your side. Okay, that's not what my belief system is about. So when we're talking about, so I try to stay in the center because I believe that God loves everybody. And whether I can disagree with you and your belief system 100%, but that doesn't mean that I don't love you, that we can't be friends, that we can't sit down together at dinner and agree over 1,000 other things. The things that we are divided about are probably a lot smaller than the things that we actually would agree on. And I think that's where we don't see where it is not okay. Look, Sachi, you're gonna have to get down. I can't do this. um I think that's where the confusion comes in sometimes, is everybody is painted as black and white, and nobody is black and white. Okay, nobody is. And so there's that. And so I started down. You know, I would have said the same things. I was very heartbroken. I was very upset. And I would have said the same thing had it been somebody on, this happened to be a very right wing Republican. I would have said the same thing. If it was a very left wing Democrat. Nobody needs or deserves to be uh, I don't know what I can say on YouTube. Like, for that to happen to them, nobody deserves that. Okay. Um, so I would have been equally upset. The problem is, I started looking too deep. Okay. I was disturbed about things that I feel like we do have in common, like the division that is coming up. And I know, like, look, I have friends who I differ with a whole lot. Okay. I differ a lot about maybe some things about, you know, definitely politics, definitely maybe the way that I would like some laws to be, or the way I think they should be, but not many. Okay, let me say that there's not many laws that I disagree with. Okay, because I think at the end of the day, what we all want is we want peace, we want safety, we want a working wage, we want to feel safe on the streets, we want the freedom of speech, we want to be able to express how we feel and live life safely according to the way that we want to live it, right? And I we don't want people telling us who we can live life with. All right? And I get that. And I am not opposing anybody who wants to do what they want to do. Do I always agree with people's decisions? No. But that doesn't mean that I don't love them and that I wouldn't have them over for dinner, because I certainly would. I would certainly stand up for them in any kind of situation. And you know what? If you are going to stand up for freedom, you have to stand up for the freedom for people to be according to your thoughts. You have to fight for the freedom for what you believe, for somebody else's decision to be wrong. And I'm not saying they are wrong. I'm just saying they're different than you. But when I use the term wrong, I have to fight for somebody else's right to be wrong. Does that make sense? In my eyes. If you're not willing to do that, then there's something wrong. Okay? There's something not right in your theology. Oops. Okay, look. We're going to fight. I can say we're going to fight. Um so this is the problem. I don't have yes, would I like things a certain way? Yes, of course we all would. But I am smart enough to know that I don't run the planet. Okay? I don't run the planet. And I appreciate the beauty and the contributions that every single person on this planet makes, whether I agree with them or not. Even the haters, you bring something to the table. For some of you, I wonder what it is sometimes, but I know if we dig deep enough, we will find something, and we will find something to agree on. So the culture of hate that things like this do is where I started. Okay, let me see, um y'all are chatting away here. Let me see. Let me put some of this stuff up so I can see it as it happens. Hold on here. There we go. So maybe I can see this a little bit better. Yes, tolerance. Absolutely. I think that's so important. Rabbi Lee, hello. Silkosaurus Rex. That gets me. Um, Sunflower Lola, good to see you. Teresa, this is spiritual warfare. Yes, it is. It is. Can we just be Americans with no labels? Absolutely, Four Pits. That is, I really wish we could. Lindsay, let's see. Lindsay says, no matter someone's differing views or their beliefs, politics, I can't say that word, or harming someone simply because you don't agree is wrong. Exactly. It is. It is. Um, but I would say this. I would hazard to say that more people are going to agree with that. Okay. What we see, unfortunately, in the media, and this is every time something happens, whether it's on the side of the conservatives or the liberals, you see the extreme other side losing their mind, right? This is what bothers me. Okay. We have what I say in my feed is just like, hatred, hatred, hatred. I see, and I call these the fringe because I don't think it's my neighbor. I work with a lot of liberal people. Okay. As far as we might not always agree. There's a lot of points that we don't agree on. All right. I don't even discuss it with them, but I already know, kind of because of some situations, I already know pretty much where they're going to stand. That's okay. I love them anyway. I very much appreciate them, and we have to work together as a team, especially in my line of work. And I don't feel like there's a problem there. I really don't. I absolutely know that they have my back as I have theirs. Things like that are not going to come into my situation. Now, that being said, I feel like that even people who disagree with me or who are on the other side, I feel like if we were sitting down at a long table, the vast majority, we are closer to our thoughts and our desires of what we want in a society than we are apart. But what we see is the fringe, like the fringe MAGAs, the fringe liberals that are out here doing this crazy stuff. And then the media wants you to think, oh, this is what the whole other side thinks. This is the whole other side. This is all of their rhetoric. No, it's not. No, it's not. I know a lot of these people. And do we disagree? Yes, we do. On a lot of things. But you know what? We agree on more things than we disagree on. And guess what? There are people who have like greatness in them, right? They contribute a lot of stuff, and they're good people, and they contribute greatly to my life. So I'm not hating on them, but because of, who they choose to love or whatever, even if it doesn't line up with how I think. Like, I still see the beauty in who they are. I don't have a problem with loving people. And I feel like most of us don't have a problem with loving people, even when it comes to races. I don't give a rat's hind end what color your skin is. All right. If you are a crap human being, you're a crap human being. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you're a great human being, you're a great human being. Period. There's beauty in every culture, in every race. So again, this is not, when I get very upset when somebody is pushing a division in races, because I have friends of every race, and I love these people, and I cannot imagine ever having to fight them or wanting to fight them for any reason. So why are you pushing us? Why is the media? Why are these people? Why is everything on social media and mainstream media pushing me to hate somebody that I do not hate? Why are you pushing this on me? So then I started thinking, I'm like, this is just nuts, because for every 10 people of the fringe that you have out here saying horrible things, doing these dances, doing whatever, you're celebrating a horrible event. And look, people on the other side have done stupid things like this as well when bad things have happened to liberals, okay? So don't think they haven't, because they have. I've seen some absolutely horrible crap. That doesn't represent me. And I'm just here to say it probably doesn't represent the majority of the liberals or the conservatives. Okay? So, who is pulling the strings and why are they pulling the strings? Because I am not one. Now, I'll tell you, I vote because I always vote with my conscience, knowing that I still don't trust anybody. I hope. I vote and hope. And I've done that I think I voted when I was 18, just had turned 18. And, at that time, I had all the hope in the world. Like, I voted thinking it would matter, believing in all of the things that the person I voted for said. And I got home, and the first thing my parents and my grandparents asked me is what party I voted for. And I told them, and they're like, oh, well, we have historically been blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at them like, well, that doesn't matter. I'm like, I don't care. I literally do not care what historically our family has been. I voted according to what I thought. I have continued to do so. But did I have an awakening? Yes, I did. Because as starry-eyed as I was back in the day, I realized politicians lie. And it wasn't just the person that I really, believed in at that time. It continued over and over and over, decade after decade. And so, do I believe anybody? No, I do not. I believe in what I hope will be the best. And then I'm usually disappointed. Sometimes the opposite party wins, and I'm pleasantly surprised that they didn't do nearly as badly as I thought they were going to do. And I'm like, well, would you look at that? So, again, I learned not to put my trust in a party or a politician. For one thing, my trust is in God alone. But aside from that, I learned to think. Okay, what it taught me to do is to look deeper and to think. And so that's what we're going to do tonight is some thinking. Let me see what y'all are saying. Let's see. CD. Hello, CD. Last time I checked, there's no way off this ball of craziness, right? We're all here together, whether we like it or not. Why are we making it miserable? Absolutely. Let me back up. I think I'm too close and I'm making it kind of crazy myself. Hey, sweet dude Chibi, how you doing? Yes. That is funny. That is a very strange phenomenon, Teresa, but we get along fine when we're not aware of each other's political views. That is yes. You could be right, Shibby. It could be bots sowing chaos. It absolutely could. What we see is the media sensationalizing for the views. That's how media works. Yes, they're quite possibly feeding the violence we see in the extremist individuals. Yes. I think so too. People aren't, well, they're not taught on how to deal with their emotions or face consequences, but we've also defunded so much, mental health. And the internet, everybody's the internet guide to life, and that is the worst thing that could have possibly happened. Sunflower Lola says, my kids are mixed and we always got the look. Yeah, let me just say this. I think mixed kids are the prettiest humans. I've always said this since I was a child. I think they're the prettiest humans on the planet. Like they're perfect. The hair is perfect. The skin is perfect. Like they're just perfect, in my opinion. Um, Truth Over Verdict says it is heartbreaking. I went to a turning point event for Trump in Georgia last year, and Charlie came out and spoke. He was a brilliant, God fearing man. You know, I have nothing bad to say. Um, and I didn't listen. I'll be honest with you. I didn't listen to a lot of Charlie Kirk, and mostly because he was more toward more engaging with, from what I saw, the younger generation, and I shared a lot of his beliefs. So it wasn't like I'm normally looking for. Well, to be honest, I'm looking at crime cases and advocacy and stuff. So I really didn't. I knew who he was, but I didn't look at a whole lot of stuff. Um, I did know what he did, and I thought he was very fair and interesting, and I felt like he was respectful. If he wasn't, I never saw it. That's just me. Um, but again, I would have said this had it been completely the other side. Like there was no excuse for this. Um, you're right, Teresa. They want civil war. That's where we're getting. That is where we're getting. Yes, CD, because if we actually get together, we'd all realize it's them, not us, not our neighbors. It's them. Yes. That is where we're going with this because honestly, when I started looking at stuff, then other stuff comes up. And where I got to was quite frightening, honestly, quite frightening. As far as where are we going? What is this? And what are they doing to us? And that's when I started wondering. Now, when I say psyop, I'm not saying that I don't know what I'm saying really because I don't know. Like it just happened. I'm not saying that it wasn't that he's not gone. I'm just saying I think and I think when you look at all of what I'm going to show you, I think you're going to see it's a psyop. Now, whether they used that, whether who planned it, you know, um, for I have to tread carefully here so I don't get in trouble again. Y'all know how many times I've gotten in trouble on here. Um, we see from the CIA files some very interesting stuff about JFK. So I'm just saying, who planned it? I don't know. Was it the people they want us to think it is? I don't know. Again, let me just say this. Everything we discuss here is for educational purposes. This is just this is theory. Okay? Just for educational purpose, entertainment, whichever one. Sweet Dude Shibby says, for me, just don't hurt people, kids, and animals. Be willing to change opinions upon learning new evidence. Yes, absolutely. That is true. That is absolutely true. Um, yes, I agree. For pets, whoever runs the algorithm is yes. We need to make a change in that. Um, let's see. Hello, Ninja Warrior. Good to see you. I know. I'm terribly sad too, but I'm beginning to get more than sad. I'm beginning to get really mad. Hello, Lisa Miller. Good to see you too. I know. Do y'all feel like this? Because I'm gonna drop some weird stuff on you too. At the end. Feel like I'm in a movie most days. Yes. Um, Uh, I'm not gonna say this out loud. I'm gonna put this up here, CD, though, because of what we're gonna talk about. Okay, we're gonna talk about it now. Let's go straight into um. All right, I took the sound off this, and the reason that I did this one is because but I think I'll get a strike if I use the sound. But we're going to watch this video and I want you to read it. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And I put this on X and I said, don't be a flea. So read it as it plays. Don't be a flea, y'all. Don't be a flea. Okay, and it says you'll never be the same after watching this. So what they did basically is they put the fleas in the jar in a classroom for 3 days. When the jar was opened, the fleas would not jump out, and the fleas would never jump higher than the level set by the lid, not just then, but for the rest of their lives. Now, the point was to escape the circus, but I said, don't be a flea. So in 3 days, the fleas learned the behavior that they can't jump higher than the lid. Okay, they're in a jar. They can't jump higher than the lid. So for the rest of their little flea lives, which I don't know how long a flea lives, but I'm guessing not very long. Anyway, they never jumped higher than the lid. So if you can train a flea in 3 days, how long does it take a human? How many days does it take to have the lid on our jar to tell us how long does it take to keep us contained? And there was an event 5 years ago that I feel like was I have to be like, I can't say the word, and I can't, if y'all say it, I can't repeat it. Okay. I get lots of trouble for this word. There was an event 5 years ago in which I feel it was a huge psyop. Not that there wasn't some things going on, okay? But I'm just going to say this. I've been a nurse for decades. At no time ever, ever, could I imagine doctors and nurses and hospital staff going out and dancing to routines. Okay? I just can't. Especially when you tell me that there are serious problems and people are passing away rapidly. Like this, when I tell you, you cannot, unless you are in the healthcare field, you cannot imagine the immense pressure, the immense psychological, I'm not gonna even say damage, but the immense psychological strength that you have to work in that profession, especially in a hospital setting, because I did it, all right? Especially in a situation like that. If you are actually in a mindset where this is happening, the last thing on your freaking mind is to do a dance. And I would watch these things and I would get so angry and I would be like, do they really expect me to believe this? Because if those are either hired actors out here mocking healthcare, or they have got not one dang thing to do and they're not scared. And that's why they're out there dancing, because they got nothing to do. Which one is it? Because it's not the truth. Now, that being said, I had a lot of problems with that year. Now, that was, in my opinion, a psyop Not that there wasn't truth to it, not that there wasn't people who did lose their lives, as there is with any disease, even with the flu. It happens every year. I'm not saying that that didn't happen. I'm just saying the things that were done, in my opinion, exacerbated the problem rather than helped it. And medical people knew that. You were not helping the problem, you were making it worse. And so I'm going to shut up about that. But they were creating fleas. Okay. It didn't take very long. I was shocked at the people around me, colleagues, not in the medical field, some in the medical field, most of them not, but people, I'm talking about people that I dealt with on a daily basis because of the nature of the business that I was in at the time. I dealt with city councilmen, with like the leaders in our community, teachers, business owners. I was, you know, very much in, I moved in those circles at that time. I found it very, very hard to believe that these educated people that were leading the community were so easily swayed by what I felt was propaganda. And I was horrified. I'm like, don't you think for yourself? Don't you research? You've got the time. We're all sitting here doing what? Be a good time to research. Um, it was very difficult for me to understand how people were so swayed during that time. Now, since then, it's just been one thing after another. In my opinion, that was a big test to see how many people would buckle. And when, it was the first wave, it was really, really easy. Um, and then you had to do it. And then the pressure got worse and worse. So now let me keep going. Let me go back to what you're saying for just a second here. I'm sorry. I know y'all are probably saying a lot, and I don't want to just forget you. Yes, we are easier to exploit when we're divided. Absolutely. A hundred million times. Yes. And that is why, oh my gosh, y'all have so many good comments in here. Say, I know. That's why I always say I have some of the best people in the world in chat. I really do. All right. Let me go back to media, because I know I promise we're going to get there, because there's something really important I want to show you. Okay, so I came across this again. Now, background, everything we talked about. So I'm not even going to play this, but I started coming across this. Let me just say, this was the first one, okay? And wow, a 33-hour manhunt. And then they caught the suspect. 33 hours. Now, I mean, for some people, I saw them saying, hey, that's impressive. 33 hours, that's not bad. True. And if you're just looking at the time, that is impressive. Are you noticing the 33? Does it remind you of just a couple of months ago when somebody was down in Manhattan and went up to the 33rd floor and, pew-pewed somebody? Do you remember all of the 33s? The 33 times in so many news stories. Remember. So I'm just gonna say I've been shadow banned so many times, y'all. So many times. I'm trying not to get there. Just gonna let you see what's on there. The Freedom Boys who play with rocks, they like that number, right? So you notice how that number 33 comes up a lot. When you see it, you should understand that there is something going on there. Now, I'm gonna also drop this on you. I loved this. Okay. They got you fighting a culture war to stop you from fighting a class war. Interesting. I loved this meme. Like, if this kind of says it all, right? Could they have gotten it any better? You know, a guy, probably a country guy in a MAGA hat, you know, a female liberal, purple hair, fighting, but it's in a fish tank. Because, yeah, that's where, you know, Big Daddy Warbucks, whatever, he wants us there fighting each other, because as long as we're doing that, they're still controlling us, right? We're not asking questions. We're not fighting them. We're not demanding our rights. Meanwhile, have you seen all of the things on, I've watched the things on TikTok and Reels and, oh my gosh, I don't know, everywhere, about people not being able to pay their electric bills. And I mean, my electric bill has gone up, but especially in some places where their electric bills are like $800, $1,000, things that used to be like $400 and $500 a month. And they're like, how am I going to pay this and pay my mortgage? In some cases, it's more than their mortgage. So they're like, they're asking, what, why? And you find out that some of the companies are paying for, there's some things the government is doing, building these, I don't even know. It has something to do, I can't remember. I watched a whole video on it. It has something to do with like these little power stations that have like internet things. It's not 5G, but it's like it's a communication little thing. It's not, here's the thing. We didn't ask for it. All right. We didn't ask for it, but they're putting them up everywhere. It's like things from Meta and all of this. Basically, it's more ways they can keep up with you. And I'm sorry, but if you don't see that, you need to really start paying attention. Because here's the thing that you don't understand. What you're accepting now, because what you think, and I'm not saying they are or aren't, okay? Understand my language is going, I'm trying to be nonpartisan here. So when the people that you believe are the good guys are in office, you will accept certain things when they say, okay, we're building this and we're going to do this with this new project, and it's going to help protect you and it's going to be good. And you trust that situation because the guys that you like are in power. So everything's fine. So you'll accept a little bit of, you'll accept a few walls here and there because you're like, well, these are the good guys. These are the white hats. And they're trying to protect me. So, yeah, I trust them. So I'm okay with this. But what happens when you have these things in place and the guys that you believe are trying to protect you and are the good guys, they're no longer in power. But now you have this network. You have this stuff set up and you said okay when it was your guy in office. But now it's somebody else's guy in office, and you've got these same parameters. Uh-oh. You didn't fight about it when somebody you like said, this is what we're going to do. You're like, okay, I trust him. He knows what he's doing. You need to question the process. You need to question what's going on. Hey, wait a second. Hey, why are we building all this crap? Why do we need this big, this big data center right here? Why am I paying for this? Why has my electric bill doubled to pay for a data center that I didn't ask for and I don't want? And I don't need all this stuff keeping up with me and spying on me. No. But you're like, okay, because it's these people doing it and we trust them. And maybe it's fine for now. But in 5, 6, 7, 8 years, what happens when it's not? Because you need to be thinking now and you need to be thinking outside the box. Because what if, I'm not saying it is, but what if you wake up one day and you realize that the person that you thought was so good isn't? But you better be watching it now. And you better be protesting the things now that don't sound right, that don't sound like, if it doesn't, look, you got to think about this. Okay, some things are going to be universal. It doesn't matter who is in power. A stop sign is a stop sign. If you have a 4-way street, it meets like this, you need a stop sign. And it doesn't matter if the conservatives or the liberals are in charge. Everybody can agree. Stop signs are needed. We need them, period. Yeah, we sure do. Both sides can agree. Yep. We need stop signs. But now you have a situation where one group of people are saying, well, we need this. And you're like, yeah, that sounds good because we like them. But then the other people, but it's, if it's not a stop sign, then you might need to think about it. What can be done in the wrong hands? Okay. A stop sign is universal. Can it be misused? Well, everybody has to stop. I don't really see much problem with it, no matter who's running the country. So you need to ask yourself these questions. You need to think about who that man is standing outside of this fish tank. Because if that man changes, or even if he doesn't, what if they're all on the same side? What if at the end of the day, they're on the same side? We don't know. Honestly, do we know? Do we know any of these people personally? Are they our BFFs? No. I don't know them. I know one thing. I know every time I turn around, something is getting more screwed up. I know I wonder why people are paying all this money. I haven't seen any huge action. I've seen things get worse. I'm hoping. I voted for change. I have hope. But do I know? No, I don't. I don't know. And neither do you. As much as you hope, you don't know either. So what I'm saying is let's think. Let's look outside the box and let's gauge whether things are stop signs or whether there's something else. Okay? Because we don't need anything that's not good for both parties. Now, I also came across so I started, okay, let me go back to this. I also went back to some stuff by a guy named Chase Hughes. Now, if you haven't heard of Chase Hughes, I've been listening to him off and on for probably a year. He had some great stuff out. And one of the things that you can download, he talks about Psyop. He has like a ton of experience, and to be honest with you, it's really scary. He's been on quite a journey himself, so he talks about how people are manipulated in mass, in groups. So he had a lot to say about the situation that happened this week. Basically saying, hey, look, you're looking at the fringe. Why are we looking at the fringe? Because somebody is controlling the narrative. Who is it and what do they want? Um, hey, truth over verdict. I have seen that. You know what? That was scary. I know I'm way behind with y'all. Um, you know what else is scary? I saw, and I've got it in my files. I think I didn't see it in there. Huh. You know what? I saw an old video with Jesse Ventura. Remember when he used to do a show? This would have been back in like 2011, 2012. He had a show that was on, maybe, I don't even know if it was on 2 seasons. And I used to love it. And I couldn't believe that they actually aired it. Because some of the episodes, I was like, holy cow, somebody is going to assassinate this man. That's what I thought. And because the people that he was talking to and the things that he was saying, I was like, oh, they're not going to like this. They're not going to like this. Well, sure enough, it was canceled. But one of the things that he was saying, and I just saw a clip of this episode, and I thought I had saved it, but I didn't see it in my folders on X, which is odd. But I'm going to tell you, while I was planning this live stream and just bookmarking things and saving them to my computer, my whole computer system went down. Like, I wasn't on live stream, like I was just on the internet. My whole system went down in the middle of the afternoon for no reason. Absolutely no reason. It wasn't a power failure. Everything else was right. My computer just turned itself off. And I had a booger of a time getting it back up. I thought that was weird. Okay. But I had bookmarked it. So some stuff, but I didn't see this one. But basically, he was talking to a woman that said, and she mapped out the whole events of that year of 2020. So there you go. And I was watching, I was like, oh, wow, I had to see that episode back in the day, but having no idea how much it was actually like going to play out just like that. Yes. Have y'all seen that, by the way, before we look at this? Over 3 million people in the streets of London. I have seen that. Yes. You know, well, look, for them, I think it's about time. They've been look, in my opinion, the UK has needed to at least stand up and do something. Like it's been bad over there. Yes, I agree, Deb. Well, here's the thing. They need to start being leaders, but they don't want to be leaders. They want to be dictators, okay? Why be a leader? That takes work. You know, that takes work. It takes ethics. It takes work. It takes character. It's easier to be a dictator. Take everything you want and enjoy your life, you know? I wish you would. I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit behind. So if you Googled that, we might all need to do that. the significance of 33. Hey, okay, let me catch up with people. Hello, Gretchen. Sorry I'm so far behind with y'all. Sherry Faye, good to see you. Buckeye. Can't understand why they need all this data. They have all my information. They can't sell me anything. I have no money. I understand. Look, that's where we all kind of are, but now they want our property. Hello, Roberta. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, Glenn Davis likes to come in my comments and make a nuisance of himself, so I saw that earlier. I guess he likes attention. All right, so let me tell you this. So if you haven't seen Chase Hughes is like I was saying, go look him up on YouTube. You'll find his channel. It's a great channel. But he had a thing that I want to share with you that you can download, and something that we're going to look at, and it's kind of scoring for a psyop. I don't know how to make it downloadable, but I can tell you it's his video. You can get it for free. It's his video that's called How to Spot. I think it's called How to Spot a Psyop. And I downloaded this a while back. I think it's very interesting. And then I want to talk about something else that I hadn't thought. It's something that we talk a lot about, especially on my other channel. But I hadn't really thought about it being a psyop until today. And then I thought, if it's a psyop, what would the reason be? Jenny. Hello, Jenny. Okay, let me show you this, y'all. This is really cool. All right. This is what I got from Chase Hughes. I don't know if y'all can see this. Let me make it a little bit bigger because I can't really see your comments now. So I guess Glenn Davis is out of luck. All right. So here are the things and this is a scoring system. All right. I thought this was interesting. So when he's talking about when things happen, and I know that sometimes things happen and they're not psyops, they just kind of happen. But when you look at how many things have happened that fit all of these, it's like, oh my God, holy moly. All right. If you can't see it, I'm going to read it to you. The category is timing. All right. The question is, does the timing of and we're talking about events, does the timing feel suspicious or coincidental with other events? An example would be a story about, hold on, kitty. A story about water contamination surfaces during a corporate scandal. Okay. So I don't know in this case, with Charlie Kirk, that I know of. Okay. But again, y'all who keep up, because my nose is in true crime and the paranormal for my other channel. So y'all know, I am not always up on politics, which I kind of despise, but, other than just us versus them, I guess that's always kind of a thing. Like the left hates the right hates the left, blah, 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 which I really don't believe is true. Okay, number 2, emotional manipulation. There's a big one. Does it provoke fear, outrage, or guilt without solid evidence? Reports show crying children and dying wildlife, but avoid causes. Well, if you're looking for something to emotionally manipulate you on either side, this would be it. I mean, honestly, any kind of big um, attempt or unaliving like this, again, like I said, I would feel the same if it were someone with completely opposite beliefs, because I believe that people have the right to say and believe what they want. Um, I don't have a problem with that. You have to wonder. Okay, so let's see. Let's go by, and you can wait, hold on. Let me see how I okay. I'm trying to figure out how there's how I do it. Maybe. I can't seem to manipulate this sheet that I've got on my computer. But it talks about I uploaded it, but I can't see it. I can't see the bottom. I think it's something like you give a 1 to a 5, somewhere between a 1 and a 5 for how much it does. Oh, okay, yeah. And then of course, well, yeah, it says a 1 to 5, but then it gives the how much do you think it is? Do you think it's not? All right. So, but let's go with this. So, emotional manipulation, definitely. Uniform messaging are key phrases or ideas repeated across media. All outlets use terms like unprecedented and avoidable tragedy. Now, I haven't heard that much about anybody saying avoidable tragedy. Um, Although I have in a lot of them. Definitely not unprecedented, I can say that. Missing information, all are alternative waves or critical details excluded. Well, um, I would say yes, because we don't know that much about the shooter. We don't know that much. I mean, what it's coming out. But have y'all seen? Okay, I don't know if you've seen the videos of the people that were next to right there under the tent with Charlie Kirk, and seeing the kind of strange hand signals they were doing. I mean, that was like right before that. It was suspicious. Okay, I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that was a something or not. It was definitely suspicious. I'll stop it there. But they're saying that it was possibly. I mean, there are some things that I'm like, I don't know. They're saying it was an inside job. I mean, like that's happened before. So, tribal division. Wait. We skipped one. Simplistic narratives. Is the story reduced to good versus evil frameworks? Yes, that's definitely, in my opinion, that's definitely a 5. Blames one company entirely while ignoring systemic issues. Yes, because the systemic issues for this would have been mental health. Why don't, when we have all of these things, why are we not blaming the mental health system, the lack of mental health? I never hear this. I hear it from people, but not from the MSM saying, okay, here's just another example of how the lack of mental health, how the system has failed us, has failed our young generation. No, all I hear is, blah, 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 hate from this one, that one. Um, you know, Conservatives blaming what I call, maybe fringe people who definitely maybe have a mental, if you're going to do this, I say you have a mental illness, okay? This is not normal. We don't resolve conflicts this way. Okay, so Then, tribal division. Does it create an us versus them dynamic? Yes, absolutely. There's a 5 on that one. So, I don't know how I'd say 5 on emotional manipulation. Some of these others could be somewhere in here, but we've got a strong 15 just right there. Us versus them, yes. Authority overload. Are questionable experts driving the narrative? Well, I wouldn't say they're questionable experts, but it says an example like non-environmental experts dominate airtime, blah blah blah, to support policies. No, um, I mean this is pretty cut and dried. Call for urgent action. Does it demand immediate decisions without reflection? I am gonna say, uh, I'm gonna say that's at least a 3. Okay, and the reason why is because you immediately had all of these people coming out and behaving very badly on social media. Um, and then you had the other side immediately coming and saying, you know what to do, get them fired. So then all this within a couple days. Then you have these people saying on social media, I've been fired from my job, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that it's okay to do what they did. I'm not saying that as an employer, I wouldn't have fired somebody for doing it, because I probably would have. But especially in my profession, I would have said, if one of my employees was acting badly, especially maybe not some things, but dancing, singing, for someone being unalived in such a way, I'd say, you definitely have no compassion and you are in the wrong career. You need to go. But I wouldn't say all careers are like that. But you know, so you had an immediate retaliation. You had the event. You had people acting out. You had immediate retaliation, and now I am seeing a lot of conservatives really taking this up and saying, "Yeah, we're going to fight for you, Charlie, and we're going to fight for a cause. Why don't we fight for mental health? Why don't we fight for something not like they're getting very I've seen some very disturbing things, okay? Let me just say that from the right wings. And I'm like, this is not this we're not starting a war, okay? Are we going to behave this badly? Because I don't like this. I don't like this at all. This is not what he stood for. So I'm gonna say that's a big one. Um, Overuse of novelty, no, not really. We've seen this before. Financial political gain, no. Suppression of dissent, are critics silenced or labeled negatively? Uh, nah, I wouldn't say not really. False dilemmas, are only two extreme options presented. Either you support this or you don't. Well, kind of, yes. Yes, we kind of are in that situation. People aren't giving you much room for middle ground. Bandwagon effect, yes. You're either gonna, again, you're kind of gonna be on one side or the other, right? You're either gonna support or you're not. If all your friends are saying this, you better say it too. Um, Emotional repetition, are the same emotional triggers repeated excessively. Destruction and suffering imagery looped endlessly on TV and online. Yes, how many times have I seen this? Have I seen repostings of the actual event, which I was shocked that they didn't censor it, that they showed the actual situation, because I thought it was pretty darn graphic. I mean, I'm okay watching it. I see terrible things all the time, but for the most part, I thought for the average human, it was extremely graphic. Cherry pick data. Are statistics presented selectively or out of context? I don't know yet. Too early to tell. Logical fallacies are flawed arguments used to dismiss critics. Hmm, maybe too early to tell. Manufactured outrage. Does outrage seem sudden or disconnected from facts? Well, I can tell you this, there's a lot of outrage. And how many people, okay, look, I just want to know how many people got that upset about Charlie Kirk. Okay? Was it really, I mean, there are people that speakers, people that have shows that have like syndicated shows. I don't like them. I really don't. I don't care for their views. I don't agree with them on anything. But I really, honestly, do not care. Maybe that's maturity. I don't care if they went to speak somewhere, and I would not take in any effort to argue with them. Okay, can y'all hear me now? Thank you, Adrian. She's like, I'm sorry to text. Let me see. Let me stop what I was on a roll. Man, I was on a roll. Let me see your comments. And I lost all your old ones. Okay. Hey, Pam Frenchman. All right. Yeah, see, when I went dark, I couldn't see comments. Uh, okay. All right. No, we're not doing this because you knocked me offline and knocked my sound off, all that stuff. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with your comment. It's like loading some stuff. Okay. Yeah, I love Sachi, but I don't know, y'all. I talked about in a video It might have been on another channel. It might have been on my other channel. My animals have been so clingy this whole past month. Like oh my god, she doesn't give me any rest. She doesn't just sleep beside me. She sleeps on me. And she's not light. She sleeps on me all night long, and she's not usually that clingy, and now she's got to be like right with me all the time. Darling, you completely knocked me off air. You don't care, do you? No, you don't care. All right. So, anyway, let me go back to this. I wonder what it is, Adrienne, about them being so. It makes me wonder, like, what's up? Look, you can't quit stepping on my keyboard. Look, I don't know what's up with you. Do you want me to hush? Do you think I should? Are you going to be my censor tonight? All right, let's go back to what we were watching. Okay, let's see here. Okay, okay. So we were talking about sudden outrage. Yes, definitely outrage. Again, people outraged about somebody. I'm like, what? Did all these people really care? Did they really care? If they really cared this much, they obviously they obviously don't have a life. Okay, you don't have a life if you care this much about somebody else. You know, you need to get some real problems. Okay, real problems that will fix that. Is the story okay? Framing techniques. Is the story shaped to control how you perceive it? The crisis is framed as entirely preventable, ignoring systemic factors. Well, yeah. Honestly, the systemic factor here, of course, is mental health. Now, are groups adopting symbols or actions without clear reasoning? This is under rapid behavior shifts. Social media suddenly fills with users adding water droplet emojis to their profiles. Well, yes, but in this case, we understand why 100%. But again, what I'm saying is like really, it's really going to go over the, it's really going to go over the mark of what I call normal when, okay, day one we're mourning, day two the outrage at some of the actions and the firings, but now we're on to day 3 4, and the right side is getting a little Looney Tunes themselves. Okay, just saying some crazy things like war and blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, let's not all lose our marbles here. Okay, let's remember who we are. um Now, historical parallels. This is number 20. Does the story mirror manipulative past events? Past environmental crises were similarly used to pass sweeping controversial legislation. This is example. Again, our example is a story about water contamination. But in this case, we're looking at Charlie Kirk. So, we're looking at past events, maybe the unaliving of somebody. If you look back into historical parallels, can you I'm going to look at some of the, things that have made people very angry, such as George Floyd, which was really kind of completely different as far as, I'm not even want to go in there, but you had different factors, but yet still the same outrage. I mean, we're not going there, but yet I see the kind of, I'm starting to see on X the kind of lunacy. And I'm not talking about from people I've never heard of. I'm talking about leaders, talking about people who hold positions or hold big influence um, on the right side. And I'm like, okay, well, excuse me, when did you become, you know, when did you become so violent? When did this become? I get it. I get it was wrong. It was wrong. It's a horrible situation. But now I'm starting to think, have we been manipulated? Because I'm thinking the only thing this is going to do is cause a big it's going to cause a big division. Did we really need any more of that? But we haven't had I mean, we've got a big division already just in our political beliefs. Do we really need any more? And what would we need it for? Is there something coming up that we need to be more divided about? Because I'm beginning to wonder. Um uh let's see. It's just realizing Satan is running rampant in America and people are getting so mean. Two events so bad and close together was just the breaking point. Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, like I said, there's another event. The event up in New York on the subway. That's the event I was going to talk about as well. But I found some stuff that I'm going to have to do in a private conversation because it is just too um it is too controversial. And I'm also thinking it's going to get banned again from, or shadow banned or whatever from YouTube. So I will do it on in a members only, but and see what y'all think. But it this whole thing really made me think. Okay, that's the problem. It made me think, and that's not always a good thing. Um, Deb says, we have no true leaders. A fire chief coroner in my county was just charged with supplying a 17-year-old girl with alcohol and cannabis gummies and stalking her. Look, I understand. We've had the same things very close. Roberta says, this is why I went independent and won't align myself with any party. Look, I, I don't even know who to vote for anymore, honestly. Yes, it was a horrific action, and we need leaders to calm the nation, not ramp it up. That's what true leaders do, in my opinion. Yes, in mine too. C. Taylor. I love the kitty. How cute. Um, yeah. And as a liberal, outrage cloaked in wokeism has made the whole country weary. Yes. I voted for my cat in the last election. Well, I honestly feel like my cat could do as good a job in most elections. In most. Who's ramping it up? Good question. Good question. Um my question is, uh honestly, Ninja Warrior, I'm not sure anymore. I'm not sure if we have a right and wrong. I used to think we did. Um, but now my question is, do we even know? Do we even know who the good guys are? I'm not sure because I'm looking at this and it seems to me that everybody wants to keep us off balance. Why? Why is that? Um, who wins? Who wins if we hate each other? That's the question. Because I don't see anybody, and this is going historically for years now. How many years? Decades. It's just pitting people against people. Now I remember like things that my parents, when I was a little girl, I remember things that my parents talked about as far as, when they would go to vote. They talked about taxes. They talked about, maybe welfare, helping the poor. Did we want to help the poor? Did we not? Who needed it? Um, they talked about, these kind of things. I don't remember the I don't remember anything like this. And my parents did have political discussions. Politics was about, whether somebody was spying on somebody. That was a scandal. It just wasn't this. Okay. And I have to wonder what happened. You had people through the years, both parties condemning the other, right? I mean, think about it. I remember watching the news in the 80s and the 90s and, um, seeing stuff I didn't really understand. I didn't even understand what a lot of it was about. Um, but I remember the wars and stuff that I saw were more overseas, people really fighting with each other over there. In America, sometimes there'd be a protest about something, but I don't remember any big deals. And then all of a sudden, everything became a big deal. Everything really became a battle. I'm not sure when that happened. I think I swallowed a gnat. I'm not sure when. I can't remember what year it was. I remember we used to fight over silly things. Silly things. I mean, they would be considered silly now. Um, but again, it was just normal things. The price of gas, the price of groceries, energy, this, that. Who was going to do more? Who was going to do less? I don't remember hating somebody because they were a Democrat or a Republican. When did we start doing that? And when did it become okay to do that? Because my parents had friends that were of other parties, and I remember people debating. Remember them having dinner parties with people and debating politics and very much disagreeing with something. But at the end of the night, they were still friends because it didn't matter that much. It didn't matter more than their friendship. It didn't matter more than society. But now all of a sudden, we have to defend our beliefs with our lives. And here's the thing, we're not talking about necessarily huge beliefs. I mean, some things are. Some things are really important. But some things aren't. Okay? Some things are just the way that you would prefer to do life. So when did it become so important that disagreeing with you meant that you needed to take somebody's life? Because that is the kind of society that we've bred. And I don't think it's just a mental health. It is a mental health problem. But I don't think it's just a mental health problem because it didn't start. If it was, you would just have one person out here just completely off their rocker. Okay. Just out there, they've been a problem. Everybody knows they've been a problem. And that's so, with no mental health help. But that it's not. We've got thousands upon thousands upon thousands. I don't know what the number is of people who believe the same way. And whether you're right or left, somehow believe that it's okay to start a war over this. When did that start? When did that become okay? I'm really confused here. Because aren't we all on the same planet? Don't we all have pretty much the same goals to, to live peacefully, to love somebody, to try to have the good things, enjoy life, maybe make a difference, do something we love? Isn't that basically what everybody wants? And everyone wants the space to do that. But see, the people that like to have us fight with each other, they don't want that. Because see, that they can't control us. If we're all happy and getting along, we aren't puppets. All right. The scariest thing for people who want to be in control are people who think, people who resist, and people who think, people who resist the urge to be a buffoon and act like a moron on social media and jump on the bandwagon of your whatever friends, neighbors, colleagues, and just join in, the echo chamber. That's scary. That's terrifying. Because if you're not in the echo chamber, that means you're thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? We got people out here thinking. Oh, we got to stop that. Oh, we got to stop that right now. Oh, no. We can't have people thinking on their own. Well, they might not agree with us. Well, they might not get involved. As a matter of fact, they might convince people to go a different way. Or they might expose us for what we're doing. You got to shut them up. Let's shut them down. Let's do it now. Don't be a buffoon. If you watch the beginning of this, when we were talking about don't be a flea. Don't be a flea. Knock the lid off that jar and jump higher. Get out the jar. You can jump higher than that. Why don't we see what's going on? Why don't we look? Why don't we second guess? Why don't we pull the curtain back? Like the little guy in Oz? Why don't we pull back the curtain and see who's really working the gears behind there? Because it might be shocking. And can we live with that? I don't want to be anybody's puppet. I want to be a buffoon. And I certainly don't want to be part of the echo chamber. So I'm looking around and I'm thinking, okay, we had a tragedy. Have a lot of details I don't understand, a lot of stuff that's going to come out. But the thing of it is I really don't know who to believe. Because I see a lot of hatred on both sides. And I remember a time, because I'm old enough to remember a time when there was so much unrest and people fighting against each other. I remember when our leaders used to try to calm us down and try to spread the message of hope and unity and peace. I remember times like that because y'all that are younger, those times used to occur. Not in many decades now, because it seems like they want us to fight each other. So there's an end game. What is it? What did they get out of it? I'm very worried, but I also want to make sure that I'm not one of the ones jumping on that same rhetoric. Let me see what y'all are saying. Um, yes. Hello, Robin. As long as we're against each other, we are not united. My mom was a Democrat, my father a Republican. They disagreed but respected each other's right to their views. Exactly. And that's the way it used to be, and that's the way it should be. Division makes people feel isolated, and isolation leads to gathering in echo chambers, places like Discord. And oh, yeah, Discord is bad about that. And what seems crazy starts to seem logical, even necessary to some. Yes, leads to the mental health crisis. Absolutely. Absolutely. I missed something up here. Trying to find. Well, okay, I guess I missed. Let's see. Um, I can remember when I was little, mom and dad talking about the teenagers riding over the Vietnam War. Yeah, I remember uh I remember my parents talking about that. I do. Um but yeah, that's something that was one event. That was one event, and that was the teenagers protesting a war that the government was involved in, which they had a right to protest, and I get it. I understand. They didn't understand why they were being dragged into the war, and I really don't either. That was a political thing. Definitely within their rights to protest it, but they weren't. Again, we weren't. It wasn't a everybody. Let's hate. If you don't believe in this, then hate everybody who doesn't. Um, C. Taylor says there's so much divisiveness being spewed all across the board, in my opinion. A rules for thee, but no for me mentality. Yeah. Yes, free speech, but not divisive, hateful speech. 100%. Yes. Um, Kernoodles. Hello, Kernoodles. World domination. Yes, I believe that is the end game, too. Um, and I'll have to read this carefully, Deb. They turned so many people into sheep, and it has continued to get worse. Yes, they tell us one thing, and then they kept telling us stuff. We'll just have just to leave it that way, okay? um, um, I hate that Discord is like that, honestly, because there were so many nice things I liked about Discord. I still have one. I don't use it. Like, I didn't get rid of it. It's still there, but it's closed. Um, yeah. Um, yes, veterans were treated horribly when they returned. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to ask. Okay, I'm not going to change it right now, but let me look. Um, I'm going to try to show you something because I thought this was interesting. Now, we're talking about psyops, but um, let's see. I came across. Okay, there it is. I came across something. I know y'all have had to have heard of glitch in the matrix. So now I talk about it a lot on my other channel. That's something that has fascinated me for a while, honestly. Um, glitch in the matrix stories and things, and I have experienced at least one glitch in the matrix. So it's a very odd thing when it happens. So I'm just going to say the stories, and I think they said it started around 2012 when a lot of people say the earth ended. If you've been down that conspiracy hole. Um, but here's the thing. I came across this. Um, Hold on, let me find my media page. There it is. Why isn't it? Okay. Now, just look at this. It's only 7 seconds, but y'all will know. Okay. Now, see that? Fruit of the Loom? If y'all are glitch in the matrix people, y'all know. I'm going to stop it right there. Because, look, that one has gotten to me so many times. If you know, a lot of people argue this point on glitch in the matrix so many times. Now it doesn't have the cornucopia. I think at one time, honestly, I remember it coming back. I remember it leaving. I remember it coming back, and now it's gone again. I think, far as I know, it's gone again. People swearing that a cornucopia was never there in the logo. And I remember as a child having no idea. Like, I don't even know if I was in school yet, or if I was, maybe um, just in like first grade, kindergarten, something like that. I remember asking my mom what that thing was. And because it was not, it was on the underwear. What is this? And it was such a funny word. And she explained it to me, blah, blah, blah. And so I've known since then. And very distinctly learning that from underwear, which is kind of bizarre. All right. It just is. It's weird. But now, so in this glitch, they've got the actual, what I remember the logo as. And now if you see the new logos, they're only the fruit, like it's just Fruit of the Loom, no cornucopia in the background. And it's like whatever. And they swear it's always been this way. Fruit of the Loom says there was no cornucopia. So now after doing this psyops though, this studying this whole thing, this is where I started to wonder. Okay. Now, let me ask you, let me take a poll. How long we been on here? We've been on here for, well, we're going to go in probably about 15 minutes. So let me ask y'all a question. How many remember, or how many are y'all familiar with a glitch in the matrix? You know what I'm talking about. Because I want to be sure we all know what we're all on the same page. Something stinks in here. I don't know. Let's see. Um, Robin says, all week the Bible verse, we battle not against flesh and blood, or against flesh, but against principalities, prince and principalities has gone through my mind. Yeah, wow. Ain't that the truth? That, what? Are you kidding me, Roberta? Why? Oh no, I ain't doing no. I ain't doing no face diaper. Mm-mm. Interesting. Yeah, I've seen that. The rifle never left the roof. Watch the video. It's in the gutter. Cop who went up the ladder probably recovered it. Guy films with a pistol in front of CK. I've seen that video. Look, I have a lot of questions. I do. I have a lot of questions about that. I know they call us crazy. They call us conspiracy theorists. They call us nuts. I'm just saying, and I've heard some explanations already, but I'm like, I'm not sure if I buy it. Although it would be a really, really interesting shot. However, I will tell you this: he was wearing glasses. He was wearing sunglasses, and I know somewhere or another, I heard about, and I don't know if it was like, this has been years ago, some kind of glasses that were, I want like spy glasses, some kind of stuff where it would like mirror, it would show you stuff. There were glasses that would show you not what you were looking at, but around. It was some kind of specialty glasses. So I was like, is that how he could see? If that's true, if that was the shooter, were those sunglasses something not standard sunglasses, but like, in other words, spy sunglasses? Is that how he could see the trajectory? I mean, where to aim? Just saying. I have heard about glasses like that. Um, um, let's see. Oh, good night, Roberta. Probably already gone by now, but all right. Google glasses. Cat guess. I don't know. It might be something. Yeah, something. Something might be up. She's over here. Maybe that was her statement since I made her get off the thing. Maybe she's like, well, I'll show you. Yes, if you would hit the thumbs up, that would be great. All right. So anyway, so I'm thinking, oh, well, I was going to say speak of the devil, but her's not a devil. No, her's not. Her's a nuisance sometimes. Here's the thing. I was thinking about the glitch in the matrix, though. And here we go. Cattail. Glitch in they say this started somewhere around 2012, right? Apparently, when our worlds collided. Now, somewhat, I heard an explanation. There's a couple of things I'm going to give you an explanation for. One, on the glitch in the matrix, is that, people say it was, no, don't you sit on my keyboard. Don't you do that again. We're not going there. We're not going there. Oh, you learned you can do something now. Yeah, you did. One is that, CERN collapsed, I guess, some collapsed time on itself, or actually collapsed our world. And so we moved into a parallel one, and this is a CERN problem. Okay, it's complicated, but whatever. But what if, okay? What if that's not it? What if in 2012, whenever they decided to do this glitch in the matrix, now it doesn't explain all glitches, but it would explain our marketing stuff. What if they decided to do it as a psyop? What if they thought, okay, we're going to change some logos, we're going to change some stuff, and we're going to tell people that it never was the way they remember it? What if they just said, we're going to keep repeating this and telling people they're crazy and that they're not really remembering that, and see how many people we can convince? Like, can we convince everybody that they remembered it wrong? Or are we going to have people that stick to their guns? Like, was it all a psyop, just like a test? Was it an experiment to see what we would believe and what they could convince us of? Because I begin wondering about that today. Because, there have been times that people have said over the years, and I've noticed it myself, the box of Fruit Loops went from, okay, I can't even remember what it is or what it's supposed to be now. I think it started being fruit, like Fruit loops, and then became Froot loops, because the fruit had, like, the loops and the fruit were kind of spelled the same with the two double O's. And then it went back to fruit, like regular fruit. And now I don't know what it is. Like, but at some period of time when I was really looking at this, people are like, I'll be daggummed. It's back to fruit the way that we always knew it. When I went to the store, I thought, oh my God, they're right. It is back to fruit. And then a couple of months later, it was back to Froot. I'm like, at this point, I just checked out. I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. I don't care. I've got a lot more things to worry about than this, because I have some real problems, and I don't even care what they're doing anymore. Like, whatever. I'll remember it some way. Somebody else will remember it. It don't even matter anymore. I know what it is. It's the cereal. I know what it is. But here's the thing. Do you think, come on, do you think that was a psyop? What are the chances that the whole glitch in the matrix, as far as the marketing stuff, do you think that was an experiment on us, a psyop? Or do you think that it is CERN, the Hadron Collider? Which one? Put it in the comments. Let me see what you're saying. Let's see. Let's see. I saw glasses at the dollar store that made things look like how Predator movie skins saw stuff. Oh, that would be horrifying. The American experiment, that's what I heard last night. Well, there wouldn't be any difference as far as the end result would be. We would still be, seeing things differently, but I guess it is, do you think that the whole glitch in the matrix is made up? Is it a made up psyop by the government and the industries to make us think that, in other words, to see, kind of like an MK Ultra thing, can we convince them that what they always knew was true, like the cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom, was not actually true, but they misremembered it? Can we collectively, like, were they trying to, as a big group of people, collectively brainwash us to see if they could do it? Or would there be people, how many, and would they give up? Like, once they said, no, you have misremembered it, and they even said, had the corporations come out and say, No, that was, you just didn't remember it right, dear. It's never been this way. Would we have just said, oh, well, I must, I must be wrong? Because now I'm starting to lean that way, that it was just a big experiment to see how many people they could convince that we remembered things wrong. While some of us are just like adamant, like, no, I don't know, I don't care. Maybe I'm in a parallel universe, maybe it's CERN, maybe, uh, my timeline collapsed. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I know, you know, there's a bunch of people like me out there. They're like, no, I know what I know. I remember what I remember, and I'm not nuts. You are. Maybe you're in a different timeline. Or is it the government just trying to do a worldwide? And it didn't work. So they tried the glitch. I mean, possibly did they try the glitch in the matrix and then it just didn't work? They're like, okay, well, we got a lot of people, but we got some people who are really, really gonna die on this hill. This is the one they've chosen to die on. And, so was that, uh, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, Deb, it absolutely did. So, Adrian, you think it's real? It could be. I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't. Um, CERN is, wow, that is some scary stuff. Marketing has always been based on psychology. So, in a sense, yeah, it's always been that way. Um, that's true. You didn't know you wanted it until they told you you did. Yes. That was the classic one. The popcorn sales during the movie intermissions. Yeah. But yeah, one way or another. Now, I found out something interesting. This is horrifyingly interesting, and then I'm going to let y'all go. Remember when we talk about the Illuminati, we talk about the free boys who like to play with rocks. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm just trying to not to say it because I get in trouble every time. But y'all know who I'm talking about. The 33rd people. Um, all right. So let me get some water for this one. You know how they have said if you study this kind of thing collectively with the Illuminati, whatever, they've told us that they have to, which I've never really understood why, supposedly, let me say it right. Supposedly, they have to tell us what their plan is, right? If you study this out, you've heard it before, as I have, and I'm like, I don't know, why did they have to tell us anything? But it's part of their code, which is hard to explain to somebody. Like, if you're going to just wreck the whole world, and, why do you have to be, why do you have to admit it, right? Never made any sense to me, but this did. So I was watching this explanation on one of on one of the I don't know, something this week. And they said it's not really the way that they're explaining it, that you have to tell people, like, just announce it. It is for this reason. And this is horrifying, y'all. It is because they have to, it's manipulating your mind, okay? Because if they tell you what they're going to do, let's say I am going to tell you I am going to commit a crime against you. If you do nothing about it, okay? If you're just like, let's say it's something simple. Like, I look at you and I say, I'm going to steal your purse. And you just look at me and you say, what? Or you say nothing and you just look at me like I'm crazy, and I walk up and forcibly take your purse and run off with it, they are saying that you have now been complicit. I'm losing my voice. You have now become a complicit victim. You are not just a victim, you are complicit in your own crime. Okay. You are not truly a victim. You are a participant in the crime. Okay. You're a co conspirator because I told you what I'm going to do. You didn't protest or stop me, and I did it. So now you're not a victim. Now that, my friends, made more sense to me than just, oh, they have to tell you. So I was like, oh, so they're saying there are no victims in these crimes against humanity because they're telling us, whether it's through The Simpsons or through whatever kind of means, movies, whatever, and they show us what they're planning to do, and we're not protesting, we're not talking about it, and we're not saying no way. They're like, oh, okay, we told them, we showed them, they're okay with it. They're not victims. They are now complicit in their own destruction. What do y'all think about that? I thought, I get it. I get it now. That makes sense to me. Yes, Kernoodles, that was um um Runway 33. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't talk about that, but that was absolutely something this year at Washington D.C. Airport, which is shaped like another Masonic symbol. Air crash this year. Was that another symbol? Yeah. There's been so many. If y'all just look up news articles, when you see a crime, when you see a disaster, when you see something, look at things like times. Look at like it was 33 minutes. Like they called like the police arrived in 33 minutes, or they got the fire was contained in 33 minutes. The victim of the unaliving was 33 years old. When you see, now I know sometimes it's just a coincidence, like somebody really was 33, but when you see these numbers that are constantly in the news, it is something. It is a something, especially when it's, God, when it was the 33rd floor of the building in downtown Manhattan. I mean, come on. Or was it uptown Manhattan? Whatever, in Manhattan, remember? Um, these kind of things all have significance. They have the boys with the playing with the rocks. They all have that fingerprint on them. Okay, and what they mean, I don't know, can be different things, but yeah, it really bothered me because when you talk about the different groups, um, somebody was asking about one of the things in an interview. I don't know which tragedy it was, but they're like, okay, was this person a member of the Bilderbergs? And they're like, no, but it wasn't the Bilderbergs, but high on the other scales. But you have to understand that all of these people, whether it's the Freemasons, the Bilderbergs, the Illuminati, they all work together. They're not enemies, which is odd, okay? Because if you even go into if you even go into witchcraft and into like paganism and into uh, different groups of white magic, black magic, whatever. I mean, you might have some differences, sometimes some personality clashes or, personal vendettas, but basically they work together, especially when it comes to a cause. And, they'll work with the hood wearers, the symbol people, the rock players, they'll work with a lot of different groups. Those groups will work together. Strange how a lot of us don't work together. But yet, all of these people that want to rule the world or have their piece in it, they work together just fine. The thing is they don't want us to work together. They want no peace and harmony between right and left. Like, we can't just be people. We have to be divided. So there you go. There is your psyop. Was the whole thing of the events this week a psyop? I don't know. I think we'll have to get some more information to see how much was or wasn't. Um, Things that I thought definitely weren't in the past, I now think definitely were. I would just say this: keep searching, keep looking, but in the meantime, y'all, don't hate on your neighbor. Don't buy into the rhetoric. I don't care what side it's on, that we have to hate somebody, that we're in a war. No, we're humans. We live on the same planet. And for the most part, we have the same goals, right? We do. We're humans. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. Or is it that they want us to get into a fever pitch so that when the aliens come, we can all say, oh, let's forget our differences and now let's fight against the aliens? Is that going to be, look, there's so many crazy scenarios. I don't know what people are doing, but there's definitely an agenda here because people do not act like this normally. There's definitely an agenda. So I'm just asking you to please spread the word. Okay? Spread the word. Talk about it. Let people think. Make people think for themselves and understand that the other side, they're not the enemy. The majority of them are just people who want to live like you do. And let's stop fighting each other and let's fight the media that wants us for some odd reason to hate each other. Because I think that's the enemy, not each other. They're the enemy. Remember, don't be a flea and don't stay in that fishbowl. Okay. Appreciate you all for being here. And I don't ever ask y'all to share, but if even parts of this, if you want to cut it up and share it, please just share some of it. Yes, I understand that that reference. Let me just say that. Let me throw that in there, Lisa. I know. I was like, what the heck? I honestly was like, what the heck? I didn't know what to say to that. I really didn't. Um, but yeah, remember, we're not each other's enemies, okay? Um, remember to love each other, all right? Listen to each other. We have a common enemy, and it's not Democratic or Republican. The common enemy are the people who are stoking the fires here, all right? So you need to find out who these people are, look into their background, see what their agenda is. And let's resist. Let's resist and let's let's call them out. All right? I'm saying when I start to see the right get violent and start calling for war, I'm like, okay, now we have officially lost our minds. This is definitely some kind of setup. And we need to stop it now because somebody is behind inciting all of this. So, people with brains who can think outside the box, let's keep looking and notice things like the 33. Because, look, like I said, I trust nobody. I trust nobody. And what I'm saying is don't believe everything that you see and hear. Think for yourself, love your neighbor, and let's try to figure this out with some common sense and decency. All right. I love you all so much. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I will see you soon. Stay safe out there. Don't be a flea. And whatever you do, just stay silky. Bye bye.